Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this webinar brought to you by Bursa Malaysia and hosted by LifeChamp. My name is May, and I will be your moderator for this session titled The Potential of Palm Oil Biomass. So, every single year, Malaysia palm oil industry produces millions of tons of biomass, which many may see it as a waste, but now it is increasingly being turned into valuable products such as renewable energy, biofuel, fertilizers, biochemicals, and so on. With growing demands for sustainable solution and strong policy support, palm oil biomass is becoming an industry with exciting long term potential. Yet, many investors are still unaware or unfamiliar with the opportunities it offers. So, today we are honored to have our esteemed speaker with us, Mr. Johnny Tiong, to share some key insights and show us on how to tap into these emerging growth opportunities. So, before we proceed, allow me to share a short disclaimer. Please be reminded that everything that is shared in this session is purely for educational purposes only, and we are not recommending you to buy or sell any sort of securities. You will be 100% liable for any sort of investments you choose to make. Alright, moving on. Allow me to give a short introduction to our speaker. He is an engineer by training, an investor by passion, with over 10 years of experience in the investing market. He combines fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and his own wind rider approach, where he rides opportunity as market condition changes. He has hosted stock investment sharing sessions and investment courses across Malaysia and has been invited as a panelist for various investment forums. He is also the owner of Gainvestor Facebook page and the blog Wind Rider Gainvestor, where he shares practical insights with the investing community. With that said, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Johnny Tiong. Hi, Mr. Johnny. How are you?
Morning, May. Thanks for the
Morning.
warm introduction. So
Welcome.
just check in again. So I'll be sharing screen. So just see if you guys can see my slide. Uh, Okay. Wait, yeah. Brain is a bit rusty in the morning. All right. So just checking again. Full screen. Can everyone see my screen now? If yes, can just put some reaction so that I can know. Or May, is
Yes,
it?
can see.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yep.
great. It's great. Okay, so I'll go straight to our topic of the day, palm oil biomass. I think in the previous sessions we do talk about palm oil and then what are the potential of what are the palm oil and how much is the distribution across Malaysia and why palm oil is important and how they contributed to Malaysia's GDP. So today we're going to go through the waste from the palm oil, which we call as palm oil biomass. So these are the topics that we're going to go through today. We'll understand the various types of palm oil biomass and then also explore the roles and applications of palm oil biomass. Next, we're going to research the latest biomass technology. So the technology is converting biomass to something else. So what are the something else? Then we're going to review government policies related to palm oil biomass utilization. Last, evaluate the investment opportunities in the biomass sector. I think this is what most of the people or most of the audience of me myself is also interested in. And also lastly is to understand the ETS. Okay. And next, without further ado, let's move on. So the first one is to understand the various types of palm oil biomass. So let's go through the value chain of the whole palm oil industry. Okay. So it all started in the palm oil estate. Then So you can see from my legend here, there's a workflow, meaning to say where's the thing, I mean, where's the process taking place? And then the blue will be the biomass and the green will be the product. The product is the one that can actually generates money and what we are consuming. Okay. So the general ones are the palm oil estate to the palm oil mill, and next from the palm oil mill to the refinery, whereby we can get a lot of good products from the refinery. Okay, so these are the products from palm oil estate. They send FFB, which is a fresh fruit bunch, to the palm oil mill. So the palm oil mill is going to process, and then the product from palm oil mill will be CPO and also CPKO, crude palm oil, and then also crude palm kernel oil. Okay, I think all of you are quite familiar with this CPO and CPK. For those who are trading futures, you definitely know about CPO, right? And then from the refinery, we have margarine, cooking oils, soaps, and cosmetics. So you will be surprised. Actually, our daily life is a lot of palm oil products. For example, if you're drinking Nescafe in the morning, I mean the 3-in-1 or the white coffee. So there are some palm oil products inside those drinks. Okay, so we take a look at the biomass. We have the oil palm fronds and also oil palm trunks. We're gonna go through what are those things later. Okay, just a few terms. It's actually fronds are just the leaves. Okay, trunks are just the trunks. I mean the branches. Sorry, the batang, the trunk. Okay, then from the palm oil mill, we have these three type of biomass. We have empty fruit bunch, EFB, mesocarp fiber, and also palm kernel shell, MF, and also PKS respectively. Then from the palm oil mill, there will be POME, palm oil mill effluent. So it's actually a kind of liquid. Well, I'm going to share with you the pictures later. And okay, so these are basically the value chain. We have the workflow, with the biomass, we have the product. So now let's focus on biomass. So what are the current use of the biomass? So for the oil palm frond and the oil palm trunks, they are now currently used as mulch and fertilizer. The mulch here, the mulch meaning say that all the fronds, the leaves, you just spread it on the ground so that it won't, I mean, it will contain the water inside for the roots. So when the sun hits, the water will not be evaporated so easily because of the fronds are actually covering. Okay, so that's the use of mulch and fertilizer. And currently, from the palm oil mill, the biomass of EFB, okay, it's also used as mulch and fertilizer also. So once they process it, some of the factories, some of the palm oil mill will actually send the EFB, empty fruit bunch, back to the plantation to just put it there as mulching and as fertilizer. Because after like 2 to 3 months, it will get decomposed and become fertilizer. And next, for the palm oil meal effluent and mesocarp fiber and PKS, normally they are being used for power generation to generate electricity. Okay, so these are just basically the current use of the value chain for the most, I can say, 80% of the palm oil industry currently. Okay, so now this is just another illustration. So from the estate, we have the product. So if you look at my table here, I have product and I have waste here. Okay, so we have three columns: estate, mill, and also refinery. So the product from the estate is actually the fresh fruit bunch, which we call FFB, which are the tiny things and is full of oil when you extract it. Okay, so from the mill, you can extract it out to become these two valuable liquids, CPO and then also CPKO, crude palm oil and also crude palm kernel oil. So you can see CPKO is a bit more, the color is a bit different because it's extracted from the white. Just imagine it's like the coconut, I mean, from the inside, from the inner. Okay, so CPO is just by the side. Okay, so for the refinery, the product will be the margarine, cooking oil, soaps, and cosmetics, just like I mentioned just now. Okay. Then for the waste from the estate is actually the frond and also the trunk. So you can see the picture. The frond is actually just like the leaves. Okay. The trunks is just like we chop a normal tree and the middle part of it is called trunk. Okay. Then next we talk about palm oil mill effluent. So this is just like a pond. Okay, the pond, because when the mill are processing the palm oil, they use a lot of water. So the water is going to be this is the palm oil mill effluent. So definitely the pomace is going to be treated before it's released to the atmosphere. But in certain cases, it's not released to the atmosphere. They just recycle the water for their own plantation usage. I mean for the mill usage. Okay. There were empty fruit bunch. So you can see the from this, if you can see my arrow here, so this is the FFB fresh fruit bunch to become a empty fruit bunch. There were the palm kernel shell and also mesocarp fiber. So you do notice I have some colors here. So the red one meaning to say is 60% had been going back to the estate. These are the normal practice from the survey. 60% is returned back to the estate for mulch and fertilizer, and the rest are for self-consumption or export. Export here meaning to say export to other country to use as power generation. Self-consumption is also for their own consumption. Also, some are using for their boiler and for their to generate their own electricity. Okay, and then yep, and then there are no waste from the refinery. Okay, so now we're gonna focus on a few things. Palm oil trunk and also palm oil frond. So why are we looking at this? Because we want to know the availability of all these things. Okay, so for the trunk, so basically it refers to the trunk to the middle part after after an old oil palm tree has been felled during replanting season. So the season is actually around 25 years. After 25 years, they're gonna chop down, replant the whole thing. So when they replant, there'll be a lot of trunks. Okay. So the amount is estimated at around 7 to 10 million ton annually. Okay, so from the feedback, because we done a survey from the feedback from the plantation management, and also we cross-check with all the annual reports what they say. So OPT is widely available in plantations and often used as mulch for organic fertilizer. Okay, so then the problem comes if there are a lot of OPT or palm trunk, why not people commercialize and do it for something? But currently, there's problem. It's about the logistic because most of the plantation are in remote area, meaning to say it's hard to be accessible by roads and also public transport. Okay, if you want to go into there, you need some certain trucks or pickup trucks because the terrain is quite difficult to be reached. So the part, the the challenge now is actually the logistic. So if we have challenge in logistics, thus there are less people who wants to commercialize because a lot of the cost will be used for transportation. Okay, so these are just some calculation we gather from the Ministry of Plantation National Biomass policy. So all palm frond and all palm trunk is actually largely available, which is basically the palm oil industry are not using it for any use, just for mulch and fertilizer only. Okay, so these are some innovation that I have. They are currently using palm wood for their furniture. Okay, so they already done the R&D, then they found that, oh, okay, this trunk can be used, the palm wood is actually can be used as a furniture. So for more further information, you can actually refer to the IOI palm wood. It's a subsidiary, so they are specialized in making furnitures, which I think is very sustainable. I mean, in terms of ESG, IOI definitely have it. Okay. And what about the frond or PF? So it's basically, if you look at this picture, it's basically the leaves. Okay. So the leaves actually there's a few parts also. They have leaves, there's petiole. So there are different kinds. The parts are named differently, but for this we call it all palm frond. Okay. So normally when the estate people, when the workers they want to pluck the fresh fruit bunch, so it's roughly like all the fresh fruit bunch are held by two fronds. So you can imagine one and with two fronds. So if you want to chop down, you want to chop down the fresh fruit bunch, you need to chop two fronds. So in every harvesting season, you need to chop around two fronds just to get the fresh fruit bunch. Okay, so you can imagine there will be a lot of fronds on the ground. So some of the practice that the estate workers do, once they chop down the front, they'll gather everything in the center. Okay. Then another batch of workers will come and put the frond as a mulching and fertilizer. Okay, so while OPF can be supplied in large quantities, definitely a lot of the frond, but they have not yet achieved industry scale commercialization. Okay, because the challenge is also because of the logistic challenge, and then also, yeah, the thorny nature of the petioles. So it's actually quite sharp. If you look zoom into it, they are actually sharp thorns around it, just like roses. Okay, there are a lot of thorns, and then currently there are not much industry uh venture into OPF at the moment. However, okay, my table down here, the current use, we going into the current use and the future development for OPF and also for OPT. So current use for OPF, mulch and fertilizer, I think people know about that. And then there are some tea products and also some pellets. Pellets are basically for burning. For example, you're having charcoal. I mean, it adds like the charcoal. The future development, you can see a lot of scientific names here, biocomposite materials, extracts, biosaccharides is a kind of glucose, bioethanol as green fuels for biomass boilers. So people are actually in the research and development, they are actually venturing into what can we do with all these biomass with this OPF with abundant of it. So why not we do something about it? So the challenge will still be logistic, in my opinion. We will have a lot unless your palm oil mill is near to a research is near to somewhere export center, then that will definitely solve the problem. So the same goes to OPT. So they are currently as a plywood, wood fiber, or other furnitures, okay? And then some are used for green fuels or furniture panels, future development, because there's a lot of water, there's a lot of sap in it, so they can actually produce biosaccharides, which is some sort of glucose, bioalcohols, and also bioplastic. So these are the future development. As of now, as the time was begin, there are R&D in Malaysia doing that, but then to commercialize, I still think there's a long journey to go. Okay. So these are basically the some of the information from Malaysian palm oil plantation. As we can see, you can see from the here, from lowest to highest, the dark blue is definitely the a lot of planted area. So here, Sarawak is the champion of it. So there's a lot because Sarawak basically there's a lot of the big area. So they planted a lot of palm oil industry also. Next will be Sabah. There's also a lot of area. Next, if in Semenanjung, Malaysia, the winners will be Johor and Pahang and also Perak. Okay, so palm oil mill. The palm oil mill is the where we say the factory, the kilang where they process everything. So empty fruit bunch, the biomass from the palm oil mill are the fibrous material remaining after palm oil is extracted from the fresh fruit bunch. You can see the picture. This is a fresh fruit bunch. You can see there's a lot of fruits here. Okay, so once you pluck out one by one, or in the factory, they use a few process to gather everything. So these are the EFB, empty fruit bunch. The branches are empty, so they call empty fruit bunch. Okay, so it's a okay, this is the empty fruit bunch. So normally after they process from the mill, they're gonna send it back to the estate. Okay, so the mesocarp fiber is a fleshy middle layer of the oil palm seed mesocarp fiber. Okay, it once you it's just like a coconut. You want you scrap it, there's a middle layer, right? It acts like a fiber. So it's, I mean, in terms of palm oil, it's called mesocarp fiber. Then palm kernel shell are byproduct from palm oil extraction. So when you extract in the mill from the mill, and once you process it, there's a shell which is covering the white part, the flesh. So that's called palm kernel shell. And then pomade is generated during the processing of fresh fruit bunches in the palm oil mills. So when we are in the palm oil mill, they need a lot of water to process. Okay, so definitely there's a lot of ponds with black water, which that is a pomade, very bio, fresh nutrient full of that. Okay, and then okay, now just look at the picture. We have a Lipang Palm Oil Mill, IOI in Sabah. So this is just a snapshot from Google. Okay, so we have this is I a palm oil mill from IOI also. Okay, okay, you can see this is the palm oil mill, and then you can see all this black like like a fingernail, black fingernail. Why I say fingernail? Because now my daughter is very is into fingernails, so okay, it looks like a fingernail. So the all the black ones are actually the pomade pond, palm oil mill effluent pond. Okay, And then we have the plantation. You can see these are all the plantations. Okay, I can zoom in. These are all the plantation estates, so you can see the terrains. So it is not easy for this. This is considered a very advanced because you can see the roads which are going into that, so which are actually quite good already. And you have the workers area, the workers house. Okay, so all the black things are actually the Pome pond. Okay, just for everyone's knowledge. And then the palm oil mill. Okay, based on the latest data from MPOB Malaysia Palm Oil Board, they say palm oil mill processes empty fruit bunch, but the utilization rate is very low. Okay, only 41.2 respondents return the EFB to the plantation for mulching. So after they process from the panel mill, they have people to move it out to the estate. So only 3.8 use it for incineration, meaning to say they burn it to generate electricity. But then the problem of burning EFB is after you burn the EFB, because there are still some component inside it. So when you burn, it's hard to clean up the incinerator later. Okay, there are things they call clinkers. So you need people to go and clean the remaining ash after every 2 weeks. They need to do it. They need to basically need to shut down the incinerator for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they need to clean up, and then they need to burn again. After 2 weeks, they need to clean up. So actually, it's 3.8% using the EAB for burning is because actually they left ashes which are called clinkers. So overall, the utilization rate is below 50%. Okay, so you can see out of EFB, there's a lot of EFB, less than 50% is being utilized. Another 50% is just dumped there. Okay, so palm kernel shell and also mesocarp fiber, just to I lump everything together. So PKS mostly are exported to Japan, Korea market. Okay, because it's a so-called popular green fuel, meaning to say it's from biocide from the nature and then get burned, so it's a carbon neutral. So PKS is very popular to be burned to generate electricity. Okay, so for the mesocarp fiber, it's also a green fuel which internally they are using. So the remaining survey companies sell the mesocarp fiber to other parties to do the pellets for burning. Okay, so in this case, PKS and mesocarp fiber all are being used 100%. Okay, so the palm oil mill effluent, the pome, so most millers use the sludge and palm oil in the plantation activities because they are rich in bionutrients. You see the black, the liquid is actually very full of bionutrients, which is good for watering the plants, and then the sludge can be used as a fertilizer. Okay, so these are normally the palm oil millers are doing that. I mean, the palm oil industry is doing that. Okay, so there are some breakthrough in the technology. So I think last few years actually next screen. Okay, but his next screen also IOI the JV partner with China Xiamen C&D for a pulp plant in Pahang. So next screen venturing with partnering with IOI to do to turn EFB into pulp and paper. I think if you look at next screen's annual report, they also do mention there's a lot of things in Guamusan. Okay, so I do attend several of their exhibitions. So they're actually producing papers. They already produce it. So yep, can take a look at it. I think from the annual report. I mean, if you are the shareholder, can attend the AGM again. They'll definitely display what are the products that they have, which is coming from EFB. Okay, and again to say the current use and also the future development. So EAV for mulching currently, okay, there are also some as a pellet, okay, for pulp and paper. So the future development, you can see there's a lot of scientific names, the bio. These are actually because of the components inside. Okay, so there are a lot of future development into it, bioresins, biosaccharides, bioalcohols, activated carbon, bioethanol. And I can say all these are still not mature yet. They are R&D, but then from R&D to how they're going to commercialize pose a problem. Okay, there's some unless there's a lot of subsidy going on from the government. But at the moment, they are still in research and development stage. Okay, for the PKS pump kernel shell, they are used as green fuel for boilers, which 100% internally used. So future development, which is already ongoing, they are used in production of graphite and also graphene, which is very useful in the future technology. So mesocarp fiber, red palm oil extraction residue, green fuel for boilers. Okay, and for the pomade are used for fertilizer currently, and then also the CNG, compressed natural gas for gas injection pipelines, in which a few companies are doing that. Okay, so for the future development, so people are talking about this for microalgae cultivation, okay, commercial scale biocompressed natural gas, and also as a transportation fuel from pomade. Okay, pomade to biogas, there are already people doing that. So now, okay, this one is just a statistic and some future development. So we look at the biomass by Malaysia states in 2022. Like we mentioned just now, Sabah and Sarawak, these are all the distribution, right? EAB, POME, mesocarp fiber, OPD, and so OPF. So the one with white, a lot of EAB will be in Sabah. Okay, will be in Sabah. But then you may mention, hey, just like you said, Sarawak got a lot of plantation. Yes, Sarawak got a lot of plantation lands, but then Sabah has the most mills in Malaysia. So when you have a lot of mill processing the FFB, so you have a lot of EFB. Okay, so number one will be Sabah, then next will be Sarawak, then the Johor. Okay, then you said the OPT and OPF is a lot in Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, so now we talk about palm oil. We just now talk about palm oil biomass. Now I want to look at what are the potential roles of the palm oil biomass. Okay, so these are the biomass that we have: EFB, POME, OPF, OPT. So these are currently the usage or the future usage. Okay, for bioplastic, biofuel, poultry, food, furniture, and pulp and paper. So if I want to draw the lines together. So from EFB can be made into bioplastic, biofuel, and also pulp and paper, the one the IOI and also next screen are doing. Okay, from POME can be worked into biofuel. OPF can be made into bioplastic, biofuel, and poultry food. OPT can be made into biofuel and furniture. Okay, the palm wood just now the IOI have. So all of these palm oil biomass, bioplastic, biofuel, poultry food, furniture, and pulp and paper, in my opinion, the one that caught the most attention would be the biofuel, the energy segment, which everyone is now using. Okay, bioplastic may pose, there's still some challenge to it. Poultry food is already there, but then in Malaysia it's a subsidized industry. So invest as us as investors, we might not get much benefit from it. Furniture, okay, there's a lot of competitor, and pulp and paper, it's good. But then if you compare with the current white paper, because the EFB produced paper is a bit brownish, so if you compare to the industry, I mean the current white paper, there are still some difference to it. I think people still prefer for the white one. I mean the white, because so the EAB pulp and papers, the market can fetch a good price, but then not there yet. Okay, so biofuel is the one that people are aiming for. Okay, so what is actually biofuel? So, okay, amid the global push for clean energy and carbon emission reduction, the term biofuel is gaining increasing popularity. People are talking about biofuel, especially the Strait of Hormuz now, no oil. So, like a few countries like Indonesia are already producing B100, meaning to say from the bio oil, from the palm oil, they can produce a biodiesel 100% from our palm oil industry. Okay, so simply put, biofuel is any fuel derived directly from biomass, which is renewable organic materials derived from plants and animals. So renewable organic materials, you can see from the picture down here. Okay, so biofuels can exist in solid, liquid, or gaseous form. Okay, so liquid biofuels such as bioethanol, biodiesel, and sustainable aviation fuel. Solid biofuels are wood pellets and briquettes. Normally, I think these are quite popular in the Japan Korea market. Gaseous biofuels, biogas, which can be injected, I mean, back to the our gas pipeline, but need certain process. Not the biogas. Biogas itself contains a lot of carbon and methane. So we need and H2S, hydrogen sulfide. We need to menapis. We need to filter the things out. So that is 99% natural gas, methane, we call it methane, and then we feed to the injection pipeline. So what are the advantage and disadvantages of the biofuels? So biofuels offers some compelling alternative to biofuels. However, they have their own challenges as well. So these are just a, sub, a differentiation for the biofuels and also the fossil fuels. So biofuels, they are renewable. Okay, the organic sources of the biofuels can be regenerated or replenished. So they actually help to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. They call it carbon neutrality. And then the energy security for Malaysia, the developing domestic biofuels can reduce dependence on foreign oil imports and increase energy independence. This is actually a very good point because Malaysia, starting from next year, we are importing natural gas in Malaysia, or importing natural gas from overseas to Malaysia to produce electricity, to produce energy. So if Malaysia palm oil industry can add something to the biofuel, so we can depend lesser on the natural gas from imports. You know, something to look at it. Waste utilization, so they can create value, and also because the waste, we turn the waste into something valuable. If not, it just end up in the landfills, just like people throw away only. Okay, what are the disadvantages? So is some people, some industry are talking about is for food versus fuel. Okay, and about using the land and resources to produce fuel, which they say the land should be used for food, not for fuel. Okay, there are some argument on that. Okay, we let them argue. It's okay, nothing to do with us. So land use and environmental impact. So if it is managed poorly, it will pose an environmental impact, lead to deforestation. Okay, high cost of production. This high cost of production, I do agree for certain technology which is not mature yet, but once the technology mature, then we might have some advantage. Okay, the production cost of biofuels is highly than those of the fossil fuels because fossil fuels have been there. People had R&D, try to find the optimum cost for it, so it brings down the cost for the production for fossil fuel. Same goes to biofuel. Now can be expensive, but then maybe wait for another 30, 40 years of technology. When mature, it will be cheaper. Okay, just like your phone. Our phone used to be expensive. Okay, I remember Sony Ericsson phone I have when I was young. 3.2 megapixel. Oh, I'm so happy with the technology, and the phone is expensive. Now we no longer talk about 3.2 megapixel. We're talking about like 100 megapixel camera. So, and then the price is equivalent or cheaper than before. So the technology can bring down the price, but just need to wait for the time. Lower energy output. This one we cannot argue because the fuel content, okay, the energy output from the fossil fuel is high. If biofuel currently is still low, okay, we still need to burn a lot of the biomass in order to get equivalent energy from the fossil fuel. Okay, so out of so many, so we talk about biomass abundant in Malaysia, we talk about palm oil biomass. So what are the current use? So out of the utilization of the biomass, we focus about bioenergy, biofuel. So from the biofuel, we zoom into sustainable aviation fuel. I will tell you guys, I will tell everyone why my point is look into SAF. Okay, so why SAF? Okay, why sustainable aviation fuel? It's good for the environment. So we mentioned just now, carbon neutrality, waste utilization, all are good. The demand, this is one point. So there's a demand for SAF is projected to grow at the CAGR of 26.2% from 2022 to 2050. So there are certain demand to it. Okay. For a theme, for a project or for a product to fly, to be commercialized fully, there must be demand from customer. Okay, so for some there is a demand. Okay, and then subsidy, there's a lot of subsidy also offered by some policymakers, okay, and some airlines they also have a certain target. So it's actually goes side by side, demand and also authority or the subsidy. Okay, and it's easy to use. Most important is easy to use in terms of technical and engineering. So I can just take the biomass SAF and I can just put the staff and I put into the current plane. It can use without any modification. Okay, so it's that easy. Okay, So they can be directly used in existing aircraft and engines and infrastructure without modification, without modifying it. Okay, you just change the source from the kerosene to SAF. We can use it. It's a mature technology path. Okay, so these are just some statistics also. So this from the PCG. So they say that from the survey, they say that the global demand is expected to increase. This is the demand increase for SAF in terms of metric ton. Okay. However, if we look at the chart on the right hand side, the biggest problem is the price. People do a comparison. Okay. This is the SAF sustainable aviation fuel from the bio part, and this is the existing jet fuel. So you can see there's a big gap. Okay. So if you are an airline company, do you want to buy the oil at this price or at the price above? I think it's just simple. If I'm running a business and earning dollar and cents, definitely I want to fork out money to buy this one, not the one on top. Don't tell me about sustainable. I just want to make sure my business is sustainable for the next few years. I have people to feed, I have my workers there. So I will not spend too much for the field. I would just rather spend minimum for the field. Okay, this statistic is coming from S&P Global. Okay, so global demand increase, but the problem is the price. So how do we solve the problem to meet the demand with the lower price? The answer is the technology. Okay, so now we're going to go into the research, the latest biomass technology, actually the SAF technology. So the technology here is to turn biomass into jet fuel, or in this term we call SAF. So with the development of time and technology, many technologies have been gradually developed. So there are three famous technology currently. They call HEFA, Fischer-Tropsch, and also alcohol to jet. Definitely, I'm not going to expect everyone to go into this summarize for everyone. So the feedstock from palm oil biomass from PFAT and CPO. Okay, Fischer-Tropsch, we can get the feedstock EFB, PKS, and POME. And TJ, we can get from EFB, OPF, and also from POME. Okay, so I think you guys are quite familiar with the CPO, what we have gone through just now, if you are listening, which I think yes. Okay, what are the process? They use hydrogenation. For Fischer-Tropsch, they use gasification and synthesis, and fermentation and conversion. There's some combined technology. Okay, so the technology readiness level, TRL, the higher the number, meaning to say the more mature it is. Okay, so for HEFA technology, they're in TRL 9. So for FT, they're 7 to 8, ATJ 6 to 7. Yeah, later I'll show the technology readiness level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So for the commercialization, is widely used. HEFA is widely used now. For Fischer-Tropsch, the latest is that I get is there's a demonstration plant to produce SAF. Okay. So for ATJ, it's still a pilot plant. Pilot plant meaning to say it's just a smaller plant. Demo plant is definitely a bigger plant. Looks like a commercial plant. Pilot plant is just a small plant for a testing method. For on testing. So the production cost is low for HEFA, moderate for FT, and also high for ATJ. Okay, so you can see why HEFA is more mature, because it's low cost, widely used, then the technology is more mature. Okay, so these are the technology readiness level. Just we focus just now, there are 6, 7, 8, 9. So just to focus on 6, 7, 8, 9, what does it say? So for 6 is a full scale prototype field demonstration, full scale prototype in commercial conditions, final commercial product certification, and TRL9 is final commercial product is bank financeable. You need to say the technology is mature, there are people investing to it, you have a plant just to produce the product. So TRL1 is just basic observation. You can take a look at it later. So next time if you encounter any R&D products, they talk about technology readiness level. So you know, the higher the number, the maximum is 9. The higher the number means the mature it is. Okay. And these are just some statistic across the whole world. So currently there are 249 projects being gathered in the data. So we have a few technology here. So we have alcohol to jet, gas to liquid, hydroprocessing, others, power to liquids, and pyrolysis. So hydroprocessing is the HEFA that we mentioned just now. So based on the 249, they are more than half, I think around 50%, which is using the hydroprocessing. Okay, so from the hydroprocessing, we can see the green 75 is currently projects is operational, meaning to say 75 projects are ongoing. Okay, then they are another plan, 45 projects being planned at the moment. Okay, so if you just let's just compare to side by side, compare to alcohol to jet. So alcohol to jet, currently there's only 2 projects in operational. Okay, 13 have been planned. If you compare alcohol to jet and hydro processing, you can see HEFA technology is more mature. Okay, so 88% of the operational projects are using hydro processing technique, which in this case is HEFA technology. Okay, you can see people or the companies are opt to use HEFA technology. Okay, the next technology providers and projects. These are just some technology provider: Topso, Honeywell, Neste, Lanzajet. So you can see the HEFA technology. There's a lot of Exxon, Chevron, Darling Ingredients. So you can see the high Honeywell, UOP, and also the Topso, and also the next Neste. So they are very focused at HEFA technology. Okay, if compared to others. Okay, so there's certain reason to it. So there are a lot of technology, but HEFA is the one that we should be aiming at. And then for HEFA technology, we can palm oil can be used as a feedstock. I think there's still some study to it, but it can be done, doable. Okay, but just still in the proving stage. So we can see most technology providers are utilizing hydro processing technology. Okay, so now next we talk about the technology, everything. So now we're going to review the government policies related to the palm oil biomass utilization. We're going to zoom in from the wide, okay, the macro, and then we zoom into Malaysia. So we have a few things not to be confused with the first thing called IATA, the International Air Transport Association, which is currently representing by 330 plus airlines. So vision, mission, not important. The most important thing is the target that they have. So out of these 330 airlines, they are actually pledged to have net zero roadmaps, which they call 65% pillar. They say IATA targets SAF to provide 65% of all carbon reductions needed by 2050. And then they set a target net zero carbon emission by 2050. So if you try to link whatever we talk here and the demand that we mentioned just now, there's a CAGR of 25%. So this is the demand coming from IATA, which is coming from 330 airlines. All of them sit down together, say, okay, we're going to help for the net zero carbon emission by 2050. Okay. Next, we talk about ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. Okay, so this ICAO is actually in because it's IATA is actually representing the airline companies. ICAO is actually representing the governments from all of the countries. Okay, so it's made up of 193 member states, including Malaysia. Okay, so vision and mission, they also have it. Okay, a safe, secure, and sustainable international civil aviation system that connects the world for the benefit of all nations and people. Okay, so they have a target, LTAG, which is the long-term global aspiration goal, net zero by 2050. Okay, so this legally align 193 governments to target net zero carbon emissions from international flights by 2050. Okay, so ICAO also have a target of 2050 net zero carbon. Okay, so how ICAO going to do it is through COSIA, Carbon Offsetting and Reduction Scheme for International Aviation. Okay, so remember ICAO is a government body. Okay, it's a civil organization. It represents the government. So how they do it, they use COSIA to do it. Okay, COSIA also to achieve carbon neutral growth. Okay, you can look at the name, is Carbon Offsetting and Reduction Scheme. So anything to do with reducing the carbon, they are there. So the phases and timeline, they pilot phase 1, and also phase 2. So the most important thing here is they already started, and then the phase 2, 2027 to 2035, they're full mandatory for almost all international flights globally to use SAF. Okay, so the demand is there. Okay, so people might get confused. IATA, COSIA, ICAO, what's that? So just to summarize, ICAO is like the governing body. Okay, then they use a tool called COSIA, and then IATA is just basically the airlines, the airline companies, which we can say is an industry buyer. Okay, not to get confused, eh? Okay, so certification body, this is something important also. So ICAO also mentioned that there are two certification body which can certify, says that the SAF aviation fuel is safe and no, not to say safe, it's purely from biosource and can be used. So there are two bodies with ISCC COSIA and also RSB COSIA. Okay, but then the world leader here is ISCC, the world leader in biofuel and circular economy certification. So they are the ones certifying. So they are the absolute standard for the pump industry. So any palm oil company who wants to produce SAF, if the SAF you have produced, you want to get certification, you need to go to ISCC COSIA. Okay. Example, if Petronas or local biorefinery turns bio oil meal waste or meal EFB into SAF, they need to go and seek certification from ISCC COSIA. Okay. What do? They will have an auditor to come and visit your mill and to your refinery just to see are the company doing things right? Are you polluting the environment? The proof of sustainability. Okay. So they want to prove that if the airlines or everyone using the plane or the fuel, they will not cause deforestation in the future. So this is very important for the certification body. Okay. Next, the Malaysia policy. So we talk about global just now, IATA, COSIA, and also ICAP. Now we zoom into Malaysia. Okay, so in Malaysia 2025 budget, the government specifically promoted Petronas' use of biomass to develop jet fuel. Okay, if you look at it, in the segment plantation and commodities, they do mention about a few government bodies, a few names was plugged, okay? Collaboration between Petronas and leading palm oil companies to produce SAF using residual palm oil waste and palm oil meal waste. So this statement is actually coming from our PMX, leading palm oil companies. So people are trying to stick what are the leading palm oil companies. Okay, we have a few answers later. Okay, so Malaysia, as one of the world's largest palm oil producers, has the potential to produce stuff from palm oil waste. Petronas will collaborate with leading palm oil companies to develop stuff from palm oil waste. This is coming from our Malaysian budget. So definitely when Malaysia, our PMX announced it, Petronas is the one he mentioned, handpicked, and then with the leading palm oil industry. So there are a lot of palm oil industry in Malaysia, but then who is the leading one? Okay, so there are some more articles also. This from Argus, I can say it's an international party also. Okay, they talk about the palm oil producers include Malaysia's based agribusiness (FGV) and Malaysia and ST Katria. Okay, previously named Simon Darby. Okay, so some company names have been picked. Of course, this is not an investment opportunity. I mean, I'm not asking to buy. Okay, we just hypothesize based on the facts and figures that we gather. Okay, so what about Malaysia policy? Okay, just now it's about Malaysia budget. Now we'll talk about Malaysian policy. So we have a National Energy Transition Roadmap, NETR. So we also say in the target says that want to have national self-blending mandate starting 1% by 2027, which we already did that, and then scaling up to 47% by 2050. Okay, and we also have Malaysia Aviation Decarbonization Blueprint, also talk about path to net zero. Okay, and then the regulators from our Ministry of Plantation and Commodities also mentioned that using the feedstock from the palm biomass, okay, to produce SAF, okay, which is also aligning on to the National Agri Commodity Policy. You can take a look at it. They also mentioned about SAF. Okay, Ministry of Transport also tried to push for that, and then National SAF Task Force have been formed in Malaysia. Okay, it's a central brain of the operation, chaired jointly by Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia (CAAM) and also Malaysia Aviation Group. Okay, what they do, they bring together the ministries, fuel producers, airlines to synchronize blending rules, incentives, and feedstock supply chains. Okay, so we talk about global. ICAO, IATA, ICAO, the government body, through COSIA to develop, to have a target. And then we have the customers from the IATA and come down to Malaysia. It's announced in Malaysia budget. Malaysia even have a policy to support it. There's a target we have, net zero carbon, national energy transition roadmap. Okay, then we have PMS picked a few companies, Petronas and some other leading palm oil industry. So the thing is lined up already. The target is there, the demand is there. Okay, so for now, Malaysia, we do have SAF producers as of now. So two massive players have put Malaysia on the global SAF map. So first one is Ecocheres, which is in Pasir Gudang. So they are already producing now. They officially launched Malaysia's first commercial scale SAF refinery. So it's a capacity of 350,000 tons, converting certified waste-based biomass. But then mostly the feedstock is coming from used cooking oil. So now you can actually see used cooking oil is in a high demand. Okay, so they're already exporting shipments to Europe. Next is Petronas. Petronas, I think everyone is also quite well known. They have a 650,000 ton SAF biorefinery in Pengerang. Okay, so they are in partnership with ENI and also with Euglena, fully expected to be operational by 2028. Okay, they have completed successful trial runs supplying locally blended SAF to Malaysia Airlines. But currently, SAF they produce, they're supplying to Malaysia Airlines. Okay, so I think you, those in Klang Valley in KL or Selangor, I think you do have a few, like, they are having campaigns of selling the used cooking oil. You can send to certain Petronas the fuel station. So it's a part of it to blend, to they collect the used cooking oil and they want to produce SAF. Okay, so these are the currently the SAF producers that we have in Malaysia as of now. Okay, so now after we talk about the whole thing, we talk about investment opportunities. So from the business demand, I mean, I try to compile, try to get the business sense and also technology sense from everyone. So I compile into this slide. So from the business demand, which is validated by a few bodies, and then we have a few research papers says there's a business demand for it, and then there's a net target from everyone. So in terms of technology, we have technology which is currently producing, which is mature, the HEPA technology. ATJ and also Fischer-Tropsch will be soon there. So if, so the technology, the current price is high, but then once the technology matures and a lot of people utilizing it, it will definitely bring down the price. And in terms of the policy perspective, we have ICAO with the net zero target, IATA, CORSIA to push for it. And in Malaysia, the government also try to push for some policy and announce in the budget. So people just need to go for it. The things are there, the path is ready. So which company is going to benefit from there? So is there a chance that the jet fuel will become a future trend? Okay. For me personally, yes, there is. There is. And then some more, Malaysia is a very mature and very full of palm oil industry. So we are positioned in this to go for it. Okay, we have the policy, Malaysia policy, we have the technology, and then there's a lot of demand. So why not Malaysia go and fill the gap? Okay, so when Malaysia go and fill the gap, what are the companies that might benefit? That might benefit. Be careful. I want to make myself clear here. This is not a buy call. This is just to observe, and some of it is from my hypothesis. Okay, whether it happens or realistically transform into future, we never know. Okay, just my hypothesis. I'm sharing my hypothesis to everyone. So we have FGV harnessing potential. So if you look at the annual report, they do talk about sustainable aviation fuel. They have a very clear roadmap also. Okay, want to talk about they want to venture into aviation from the palm oil mill industry, from the biomass. However, FGU was prioritized and delisted by Felda in August 2025. So no chance for Felda to go into. But then Felda stocks have been fluctuating all this while due to a lot of some government link store and this and that. So yeah, FGV is actually have the for me because they have the most lands in terms of the land bank and also producing the palm oil CPO CPK also. Yeah, now they are delisted. Okay, so next company IOI. Okay, if you look at the annual report, I mean, this is the last 2 years, they talk about they have innovation partnership with this company called Green Corp. in Singapore. So this, if you take a look at Green Corp Singapore, what do they produce? They do produce, okay, let me just zoom in. They enabling the bioproduction of biobutanol from plant-based waste. So they also are producing biofuel also. But then is it the biofuel for SAF? I am not sure. Okay, but from the picture here, they say they're producing biofuel and then current maritime infrastructure. So we need to say they're using for maritime. But can they just tweak the formula a bit from the shipping industry to airline industry? I don't have the answer. Maybe if anyone knows of people who is working in Green Corp Singapore, can let me know and let all the audience here know so that it can become an investing opportunity for us. But in this point of time, I'm not sure. Okay, but something that we worth to go and do some fact find. Okay, Green Corp. And if we just look at the stock, IOI Corporation, push. I mean, this chart is from 2024. So maybe there's, I'm not sure whether the spike is it because of they are venturing into some, but I think definitely it's because of the business is growing, and then some of the CPO price is very quite good at the moment, so it's going up. Okay. Next is to look at SD Gatria, which might potential be the leading industry. I mean, leading palm oil in Malaysia. Just look at the annual report. They have the drones. They have an AI hand. Okay, hypothesis. Okay, so they talk about they have invested in Mavesa. Okay, so Mavesa specializes. Okay, this one specializes in sourcing, blending, and distribution of oils and fats to animal feed and biofuel industry, primarily in the European market. We do not know European market. What do they mean? Is it the South market or maybe like Green Corp is just maritime industry? We don't know. Again, if you have anyone relative or you are working in Mavesa or in SD Gatria, do look into that. If you have some insider, can drop me a message in my Facebook. I mean, this is a fact find. This is what I managed to get. Okay. So in the website, they talk about bio industry. So our products can be distinguished as one of the lower calorie and higher calorie feed value. Calorific value is important to generate the energy output that we mentioned just now, because mostly the bio products have a low calorific value, low energy output. Okay. So yeah, they do mention production of biogas, sustainable aviation fuel, and district heating, among others. Okay, so SD Qatar is something interesting to look at also. And if we look at the share price from last 2 years, it has been in an increasing demand. I think also same as IOR. I think this all the plantation sectors, if you're doing if you're doing SAF or not SAF, your stock price is going up because of your good oil price. And some of the Hormuz straits have been blocked, so it even push up the price higher. Okay, so not to say to go buy. Okay, this is just my hypothesis regarding to the palm oil biomass. Okay, then we take a look at Petronas Dagangan. Okay, the latest report. They do talk about, yeah, they've already got the ISCC COSIA certification for the South, which is a good thing. So meaning to say now other companies, other countries, other airlines can come and buy aviation fuel from Petronas. Okay. So this is just Petronas Dagangan's chart, which you can see is fluctuating up and down, because they are not purely on the palm oil, or they are not in the some industry. There are some other retail business that they have, so it goes up and down, which is normal. All right. So yeah, so I'm going to go through the maybe I just pause a moment. May, should I go into equity trading simulator or go for Q&A first?
You can do the ETS first.
Okay, so I'll go for ETS. So if you have any question, you can just put down in the chat box or in the Q&A section. Okay, so ETS, an equity trading simulator. One good thing about our Bursa Malaysia or my Bursana is because they do provide trading simulator for all of us, for you and me, for the newbies who are trying to invest and try to see how the market structure looks like, how to have virtual money of 100K virtual money, how you can invest in it. If you lost, you won't be so hard paying because it's not your money, it's just a virtual money. But just for us to taste and experience how is the trading buy and sell Okay, so so before we go into the exact website, so I just want to go through a few things that we might see when you are there. So the things up here I call it as a control panel, whereby you have the quote, the watch list, stock info, chart, buy and sell, news, market, order book, portfolio there. Okay. And then we have the second thing, we call it as a highlight. So from here we can see the highlight. What are the points? Is our market going up and down? How many shares are red? How many shares have increased? Is have been traded, not traded? All this we call it as highlight. So we have these three, we call it window. The window one, window two, and window three, whereby you can, for the ETS, you can custom make. You want it to be quote screen, analysis chart, and also this is just like stock info. And we can have different tab. So I can call this analysis tab and drag it into the quote screen tab. I can do it too. So no problem. So now I'm gonna share on the ETS on a real life demo on how to set up the moving average in the chart, and also learn how to buy, how to sell, and how to look at portfolio. So let me just bring my browser here. Okay, just close it and let me reshare my screen. Wait a moment. The brain's still rusty at the moment. Okay. Application window. Share. Okay. So first of all, you definitely need to have uh, an account. Just like you register an account, you have an account. Then how do you go to ETS? You go to market. When you mouse over, the few selections are coming out. Then you go to the tools. Then you can see there's a lot of good things you can use. We have the screener, the heat map, equity simulator, derivative simulator, stock stream, and also invest lab. So today, but if you have time, just go and explore for free. These are free. Busa invested quite a good amount of money inside here. So we make sure that we utilize, consumer utilize whatever have been given. Okay, so we now go to equity simulator. When you click in, it bring pop up another browser, which is the trading portal. For G, for the pushing there. Okay. Okay. Like I mentioned just now, you have the control panel, you have the highlight. So now the market is currently down by 9 points, which is 0.53%. How many values have been traded? Okay, how many volume, how many amount value, and then today is a bit red, so there are 577 stocks going down today. Okay, 442 is 442 is maintained unchanged. So 1492 is idle, meaning to say not traded. So another good thing, you can just mouse over, you can see what it is. They'll pop out some words for you to read. Okay, so actually first thing first, you can set up, you can see the settings, the control panel, you can set your settings. So how do you want it to be? You want to be in this format, this format, this format, this format, up to you. So now currently I just change as this format. I apply. So this is the for the main market, sort by volume. So today the highest traded is IMAX, followed by Zetrix, okay, by VS Velestor, okay. So if do notice, there's a red button here. It's a red square, and also red square, and also red square here, okay. So if let's say I want to change this red to, say I go to no group. Okay, so when I click, for example, Zetrix, you can see there's a changes, the one with the red, red. Okay, so let's say Pemaju. Okay, so I tekan again the PHB, or I tekan Amada. So all these are following except for this because I ungroup it. So if I want to make sure it change together, I can classify as red color. So when I put Nation Gate, everyone change. The top left, center, right, everyone change following accordingly. Okay, so now let's see. We want to buy because this is first we learn to do the setup at the moving average for the technical chart. Let's say I click Zetrix. Okay, I right click it and I want to look at analysis chart. Okay, analysis chart. I want to make it full screen. So it's loading now. Grab some water. Sometimes it's a bit slow. Yeah, I remember just now when I was testing out, it's also I wait for a certain time. So for the time being, just let just an error occur. Let's just try it. Analysis chart. While waiting for it to load, let's just try to see something else. Let's say now I want to buy. For example, I want to buy uh SDG, SD Gatria. Okay. I click a stop and then just click on it. And you can see all the call warrants are popping out, but then call warrants are not the one that want to buy today. Okay, chart is out, so we just look at the chart first. Sorry, I skip here and there. Okay, so this is the analysis chart. If you're familiar with my investing skill, my TA, I normally have simple moving average of 20 and 40. So why 20 and 40? Refer back to Life Chain's last few videos on my technical analysis. Okay, so you can see an arrow down here. You just click on it. Then you can see a lot of lines up here. So now since we're adding technical indicators, you go to this one, add indicators, and then you can search simple moving average, or you just want to look at it. They have Bollinger Bands, moving average, envelope. There's a lot of good indicators in which some of it are useful. Some of it might make your chart become complicated, but stay simple and make sure that you know what's the function of it. So when I mean stay simple, so for moving average, normally we use simple moving average because there's exponential moving average, what triangular, wow, weighted moving average, a lot of fancy names, but we stay simple, we use simple moving average. So if you're familiar with my style, I'll have two lines. One is simple moving average 20 and one is simple moving average 40. So how I actually do it is, okay, I need to change the arrow. Okay, can see now it's a cross. Okay, so I change it to an arrow. I can also change it to arrow with markers. Okay, you can see when I mouse over, I have the date and also the price at the right hand side. Okay, so I just go for arrow. Arrow is without the arrow, without the date and also the price. Okay, so when I click on this one, the SMA close for 14, I click on it, just a left click, normal click, and I go to settings. You can see my source is coming from close price. You can choose, but normally I'll choose close price. Period, I'll go for 20, SMA 20. 20 normally the line, how depends on what line you want. It's a dash line, dot line, or dash 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 dot up to you. So normally 20 I'll go for the blue. I just click apply. Okay, save. And then the second one, I'll click again. I'll go to settings. Close price period is 40 days. So also the straight line, then I'll go for the red line. Okay, red for Spain, huh? Okay. Okay, then I'll go for 300 records, for example. Okay, then you can see the blue and red line are here. Okay, so now let's see. We want to look into SDG. SD got here. Hmm. So these are how normally I add my technical indicator SMF 20 and SMF 40. Okay, so you can see with 300 data, you can see it's all moving up. If you see this control panel is blocking, you can just press it up. There's an arrow going up. Okay, you can have a full view. Okay, so this is normally how you use it, how people use it. Or if you are a technical analyst and you can go and venture around. If you see the background is black, you don't like it, you want to change to white, you can do it also. Okay, and then the most important, let's say you're familiar, you're already happy with all this format template, so you can actually save the chart, save the template, so that next time when you click in, you can just load the template and you can have the exact same thing. Okay, so while it's still loading, so I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna minimize it, so later when it load later. So we look at, now we want to buy. Let's see if we want to buy. Let's go to make it into a tab. Yes. Go to the quote screen just now. Okay, so going to SDG. So let's see. This is the intraday chart. You can see from here. They say from the 940, how much is it the price, from starting from 9, how much is the price going up? Yeah, 11 o'clock. Now there's no stock being traded. So this is a market depth. How many people queue in 6.59? How many people queue on 6.6? And now let's see Guthrie. Now it's traded at 6.59. Okay, let's say I have 81,000 because I've been using the money to do some virtual trade also. So I want to buy, let's say, 5,000 stocks. Okay, too much. Let's say just go for 10. 1,000 shares at, let's say I want to wait at 6.5. So validity here is only 1 day. Okay, there's no good till date. So 10, I just click buy. So they have a small order details. I want to buy the total amount is 6.5K. Okay. So they have as long as it is green, meaning to say they are processing it. So you can actually go to the booklet here. You click on it, you can see your order status. Your order status. Okay. So the one I queued just now, 6.5, is here. Okay, it's here. And this morning I also tried to queue in for Johor Plantation Group. So I put it as 1.99. So one thing to note, sometimes when you queue, you just queue and let it be there, because whatever happening here is mirroring what's in the actual environment. Okay, so for example, for my JPG, I queue at 1.99. I queue at 9:32 a.m. But then now the stock price is 2. By right, it should have been matched. Okay, but then because since it is mirroring whatever happening in the real trading market, so sometimes when the price is there, but it might not match. Okay, so this is how I mean, for example, if you are doing some virtual investing, just try to key in as soon as possible lah. Just try to see. Okay, so now next we want to look at how to look at the portfolio. So if you see there's a briefcase, I click go to equities portfolio. So this is previously when I'm doing webinars, this is what I bought. I bought PCAM at 4.9, sorry, at 5.97. Now it's 4.9. I already rugi 107 ringgit. Okay. And for Zetrix, I used to buy at 0.75. So now the price is 0.69. I already rugi 600. So total I rugi, I'm in a loss of 708 ringgit Malaysia. Okay, so this is how we look at the portfolio and also the how to buy and sell. So yep, I think that's all, May. I think for my ETS simulation, or you can still go through if you want, or we take some of the question and answer first if there's a lot.
Alright, thank you so much, Mr. Johnny, for that very insightful sharing. So
No
now we'll
problem.
go to the Q&A session. Let me share my screen.
Sure, sure, sure.
Alright. Would you need the slides so that you can
It's
go
okay.
back
I
and forth?
think yeah. If needed, I will call it up, or you
Oh,
can. I'll call it up. Yeah, no problem.
alright, sure. Alright, so the first question. Oh, by the way, if you guys have any questions, please place it in the Q&A box so that we don't miss out on any of it. All right. So the first question we have is from Annie Chin. How do I identify a company that is genuinely benefiting from biomass?
Okay, so the first thing is just through the annual report. There's a lot of companies. Okay, in this energy transition era, there's a lot of companies benefiting from it. So we're being green. But then if you want to answer you specifically from biomass, we still need to refer to the annual report. And then up until now, let's say the companies do benefit 100% from biomass. Currently, I haven't found any. Bit by bit from biomass, yes, mostly are from the palm oil industry companies. Yes, they are benefiting from biomass, but they're not 100% is embedded in the annual report, which I is sometimes it's hard for us to get unless they have a full subsidiary who is contributing revenue and profit to it. Other than that, I think it's a bit hard for us to get to know. But the best thing is to look at the annual report. Thanks,
Oh,
Annie, for your question. Yep.
all right. Next is what are the biggest risks that investors should take care of if investing in biomass related companies?
The biggest risk that we should know, we should be taking care of is the feedstock because palm oil industry, there are why palm oil industry, okay, why biomass is not in Malaysia is not so famous because of the feedstock issue. You might have feedstock today, but not for tomorrow. It's just like harvesting. When we're eating durian, it's seasonal also. I know for palm oil, it's almost like no seasonal. Every year you can harvest, but then there are certain time in the market, certain time in the year that you might have seasonal also. You might have suddenly, oh, today there's not much of feedstock of the palm oil of the yeah, for example, for the biomass for the palm oil biomass maybe because of the rain or because there's a block, there is an earthquake, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of factors to it. But in Malaysia, mostly it's because of the feedstock availability. Just like durian. Now 24/7 you can get durian anywhere because just depends on the price. I think in this term, biomass is because of the availability due to a lot of factors. So that would be the risk.
All right. Next question. Can biomass reduce plantation companies' reliance on CPO prices?
Can biomass reduce a platform? Uh, can biomass reduce plantation companies' reliance on CPO prices? Mm, I don't think so. CPO is still because the demand for CPO is still there. People still need it to produce for certain things. So I think the product and the biomass are totally two different things. So it is not relying on each other.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Which government policies are creating the biggest opportunities for this sector?
I think for this sector is basically anything NETR, National Energy Transition Roadmap. Currently, those are the big policy. So that is the one of the big mandate that we want to do. How many percent contributing from biomass? How many percent contributing from this? How many percent contributing from that? So from that, out of the mother policy, there's a lot of policy, small policy will be born. So I think that is the most major in which we need to take a closer look at that. I mean, because government is going to, especially when the what do you call that? The UNDI is coming soon. PRU is coming soon. I'm not sure, but then there's definitely people going to share or what are the results that they have. So need to compare what is the report card. So I think the mother of that NETR is the most important. Then the small baby to it is also worth to look at.
All right, next question. It's a two-part question. The first one is, are there any sustainable aviation fuel SAF projects currently being planned that utilize palm oil mill effluent POME
Pome.
as a feedstock?
Okay. I answer first, okay?
Yeah.
Mr. Chua, thanks for your question. This is a very, very good question. I am also searching for that. As of now, when I look into the annual reports, I haven't seen any clear indicative that companies are going to look for SAF to, I mean, to SAF from Pome. So mostly feedback that I get from the industry people, I mean, when I attend the AGM, they say that okay, maybe the cost is high. There's the first mindset. Oh, I want to produce. I know SAF there's a demand there. I know SAF can make a lot of money, but why do I want to venture into something which is unclear? I don't know about the future. I might as well just use the money to enhance my current facilities. So the risk appetite of the industry player is there, and it's not there yet. I do understand you're already comfortable with earning from CPO and CPKO. So why do you want to contribute? Why do you want to go and venture into something unknown? That's a typical businessman, maybe the old generation, not the risk taker type of in company that we're looking at lah. I mean, that's just my personal view. It's mostly they are saying, oh, why do I want to do that? I know it's a very risky. The market is risky. The technology we are not familiar with. Yeah. So to answer you, currently, I didn't see any.
Okay, the second part of the question, what are the technical challenges and feedstocks available considerations for producing SAF from Pome?
Ah, okay, Mr. Chua. Just like I mentioned to you just now, share with everyone. First is about the technology. People that I think the biggest one would be the mindset. Because if your mindset is not there yet, you are already comfortable earning from the CPO and CPKO. So, and then some more the price of CPO and CPKO is good. Okay, is you're already earning a lot, so it's good. So why do you want to venture into something? Unless there's a mindset of the entrepreneur that they want to go for some risk taking, or the company do allocate some fund to do some risk investing also. So those companies might benefit from it because we saw the demand is there. The technology is mature. Just the companies need to go out and source for the technology provider. So for the time being, I think those are the technical challenges that they have. Because up until now, in it's not well known. I mean, it's the companies who can produce stuff from Pome. I think there's still in R&D stage unless there are a lot of people invest in the R&D at the moment. But at the moment, yeah, I didn't see any of that those yet.
All right, I think we have time for one more question.
Sure.
Can biomass businesses generate strong free cash flow?
Mm, to generate strong free cash flow, if you look at the formula of free cash flow, there's a few elements to it. Your revenue, your cash. But I think if there is a demand and the business, first, if there's a demand, strong demand from the customer side, I don't see there's any problem because the maintenance, the OPEX, the CapEx is once off, then the OPEX is annually. So how do you reduce your OPEX not to be too reliant? I mean, the make sure that the machines will not break down easily. So I think if you have a strong demand and how you can manage your manpower and your machineries, I think it can pose a strong cash flow. But however, we cannot see that at the moment because we didn't see any companies which is 100% on biomass from what I know at the moment.
All right, that is all the time we have for Q&A session. Thank you so much again, Mr. Johnny, for the insightful session and also to answer all the questions that are given by our participants today. So, with that said, thank you once again to everyone.